Bales.
G'day, Tim.
How are we, mate?
Oh, yeah, rushing around, mate.
How was uni?
Oh, yeah. Had to get a bloody assignment done. Apparently, I was on the wrong track, so had to redo a fair portion of it. So hopefully I'm on the right track now. But, yeah, we're talking footy. We're getting ready for yet another year of the buys, mate. How's your team looking ahead of the first round of the buys? Looking in a good shape?
Oh, I don't know about good shape. That's probably not a word to use. So I have 18 playing. Only just, right? So it is make or break time for Guesties Gerbils. I have been, I was kind of gearing up for this period to start bringing in some big dogs, and that's exactly what I've done. But it's starting to leave me pretty thin on my bench, and round 15 is looking pretty light. So, this week's trades, they're big trades, and I'm very happy with who I'm bringing in, but it does require me to kind of close my eyes and cross my fingers and grab my nuts a bit and hope for the best.
Well, leading into that, mate, what are you looking at doing your moves?
Yeah, so, mate, I have... Hang on, let me just quickly flip over and so I'll walk through it step by step. So I've had enough of Fiorini, Atkins and Rochelle. They're all going.
Yep.
And that's pretty bold, considering they're all kind of green dots this week. I'm bringing in, Rory Laird, who will have the VC on him.
Jumping on.
That also enables me to bring in Darcy Cameron with the Eagles matchup. But I've got to bring in a 200k rookie to be able to do those two trades. So Harvey Harrison comes into the Gerbils this week. And he is part of the reason why I'm, crossing my fingers and grabbing onto things tightly.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, JS, obviously, as you know, one of the good boys in the group chat they're in was saying he reckons that he's only going to be in for a week, Harvey Harrison, and covering for Jamie Elliott. So it'll be interesting to see. But if he has a good game, you never know, could stay in the team an extra week. So.
Well, I mean, I could do Josh Fay, but
he got dropped out of the 22, so he might just be the sub again.
Exactly right. But so I mean, I think he's. Well, would you think Peatling would be the sub over him? Or do you think he would be the sub again?
He could be the sub again.
So but once again, I just think I'm better off with a green dot than I am a potential sub. But yeah. So anyway, I might still look at that, but yeah. So that's leaving me, like I said, it's leaving me pretty thin. But at the same time, I'm going to have, I think it's 15 or 16 premiums playing this week. So, while I'm very, very tight, I'm loaded up.
Yeah, so because I had a look, a few people in the group chat they're in were saying I was interested to see like how many premiums have people got, and it seems like most people have got maybe 13, 12, anywhere from 12 to 14. So you've obviously got the extra couple of primos this week. So as you said, hopefully with the fact that you've only got 18, hopefully you can make up that ground with the fact that you've got the extra maybe couple of premiums this week.
Before I ask you what you're doing, maybe let's talk about this straight up, because this is kind of something that I wanted to talk about on the lockout chat today. Like I know... And look, I want to insert my disclaimer first and foremost, which is, I've never won a hat, so I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. But I'm going a little bit different to, a lot of great coaches out there have been talking about, trying to get maybe, 20 green dots or, obviously trying to give yourself a little bit of buffer so that you can drop a few of your lower scores off. But at the same time, my kind of thinking is like this. Well, only 18 scores are going to count. So I would rather have 18 better dots than 20 where I'm slightly diluted. Do you know?
Yep.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
So... And look, I mean, there is obviously the strategy of, like playing it a little bit safer. And there's obvious merit to that strategy, which is why, all the good coaches talk about it. But at the same time, I think there's also a little bit of merit in, well, hang on, we can, the buys is an excellent opportunity to try and skip ahead of a lot of other coaches. If you've planned and you've mapped it out, and maybe you can look to take a couple of extra risks here and there through the buy rounds to try and get a foot up on the competition. So I think if there's any round to take risks, and we're looking at some risks on, I know people are talking about people like Briggs, and Darcy Cameron's one of those. People are talking, Ben Hobbs and I think Bailey Humphrey and Greenwood, offer some really good alternatives this week. But, and we've been talking about, look, if there's ever a week to take a risk on them, why not? And my thinking is, well, if I can get up to 2, primos that I really want, well, then why wouldn't I take the risk on a rookie?
Yeah, exactly right. So again, it was Laird, you're bringing in Laird. Who's the other premium you're bringing in?
Darcy Cameron.
That's right.
Yeah. So he really unlocks, some flexibility during the buys, and then throw in the Eagles matchup this week. He, I don't know, maybe you could throw a 120 up, or maybe that's hoping for a bit much, right?
I don't think so. We've seen that Darcy Cameron's got a ceiling, and it's the best matchup in football across any position against any team with West Coast for ruck. So he could easily put up a 110, 120 score this week. So.
Yeah, and then gives me that added flexibility in the ruck line.
Yeah, because you've already got obviously set and forget. So like this week you'll have English and Cameron as your rucks. Next week you'll have Cameron in your forward line, the other 2 guys in your rucks. Then round 14 you'll have Cameron out. You have English and Marshall. Round 15 you'll have Marshall and Cameron with English on bye. So it works out well. So I'm bringing Cameron in, but I'm also jumping on English as well. So. With Darcy out, it gives me the opportunity to just go, not stuff around the rucks. I don't like stuff around the rucks. So going Darcy to English, and to facilitate that, going Ashcroft down to Darcy Cameron to have that flexibility. I wanted to go Ashcroft to a top 8 mid, but I thought, well, I'd prefer to go a week early, bring in a guy that I'm going to have covering the forward line and the rucks for the buys, and then I'm also going a Fiorini down to George Waller to get that rookie, and then bank about 100 or so K for next week to do another upgrade. So,
so they're all upgrades.
Yeah, in a way. Besides, obviously, the Fiorini probably down to Wardlaw, but then again, you're probably getting cash gen.
That could be an upgrade as well, right?
Yeah, potentially. So,
but look, you want Wardlaw in. He's a good rookie. It's not like you're taking a haircut and getting some spud in that might not be playing next week. You think, if he's probably got the best prospects of all the rookies out there. And, like I said, Ashcroft, I'm a little bit wary of training. I'm happy to be keeping him, but I think Ashcroft to Darcy Cameron, I think that's an upgrade, and then you're banking cash. And then Darcy to English, well, that just gets that worry out of your head for the rest of the season. So, I really like
the other trade that I did consider was holding, I think it would have to be Fiorini, but going a Wilmot to Jordan Dawson. I've thought about that, but then that sort of adds another defender mid into my mix when I probably need that ruck /
And
forward.
So which other trade wouldn't you make there?
It would be losing the English trade. So it'd be putting Cameron in my ruck, Cameron in my ruck lineup. But that's what I mean. I think locking English in, locking that away, it doesn't affect my buys too much. It just means that Cameron, instead of playing my forward line, has to play in my ruck lineup. But if I can get 20, 21 in round 15, which would be the aim, I don't think, even though if I'd love 22, most people are going to be struggling for 18 that week, because I don't know if you've looked at the forwards, but our forwards in round 15 is going to be very, very bare. So you've got like your Rosie, Butters, Canelio, Taranto.
Defence isn't much.
Defence is more round 14. I think you've got a lot of those premiums, but round 15, there's not many of these round sort of anyone besides really Dunkley, Goulden that you've got. So we're going to be looking maybe some value options from round coming off the bye in rounds 12, 13 or 14. So
it's quite possible at this point in time I might have a donut in round 15.
Yeah.
But but once again, if I've got a donut but I've got 17 primos, maybe I don't care so much.
That's right, exactly right. So, for example, for that
long time before that
round, I'm actually holding Luke Pedler and Van Rooyen through the whole buys because I'll probably need them in round 15. So, but then again, Pedler, he can go in round 16, then that's fine anyway. So that's all good. Yeah, so what are you looking at doing your captain and VC? It's pretty simple this week. You'll be able to do pretty much anyone in any game, really.
Yeah.
So what are you looking at doing?
Yeah, well, I mean, once again, I want to try and take advantage of players that are brought in over the last couple of weeks. So VC for me will be Rory Laird into Merritt for the captain.
Yeah, I've got the same VC, my boy. That made my week when he got off the suspension. As soon as I got the notification, he got his appeal was successful, I just let out a huge yes in the living room, and Mum was just like, "What's happened?" I said, "Laird's off." So VC for me. And then I'm going Taranto as my captain. So safe as houses, really. Him as a captain, and revenge game against the Giants could be interesting to see how he goes. So I did think about English VC, but it sort of him and Laird at the same time. I think I'll probably back in Laird for that one there. But I'm going to be keen to get English into my side and looking forward to seeing what sort of score he puts up. So any other sort of points you wanted to maybe discuss quickly before we get into some listener questions?
No, let's get into some questions.
Yep, sweet. Right? So if you guys are tuning in via the Twitter space or on YouTube, send through your questions that you guys have, and we will answer those.
I have a question to start us off, Bales. Is the YouTube audio stream working?
Yes, it is, mate. The month's reset. It's like the plan I'm on had like a certain amount of hours, so I exceeded the hours. But I've now got a better setup. I use one stream for the Twitter Spaces, one stream for the watch along. So if you guys do want to tune into the watch along after, I'll be doing a watch along for the
Bailey McDonald.
I'll be doing Melbourne and Carlton the game tonight. Will be watched on my YouTube. So you want to come chat fantasy and watch the footy together, then
just a shout out as well. Got a tweet from Luke, and this is referencing when I was talking about going to a 200k. He said he'd suggest Bailey McDonald from Hawthorn. They see him getting maybe a couple of games with Sicily and maybe Mitchell out.
Yeah, so Mitchell's out just via like illness, I don't know why I said via then, through illness. Sissy obviously suspension. So McDonald could be in there for a couple of weeks. So it's probably worth the punt going on him over Harvey Harrison, maybe just because it's like, Hawthorn, probably younger side, could actually get a gain there, whereas you probably need Harrison to have a very good game to stay in the side, because I know Collingwood, a few of those guys are starting to close in on returns, like your Lipinskis, your Jeremy Howes and guys like that. So, yeah.
Let me just look up his VFL stats.
But yeah, if you guys did miss that before, Seamus Mitchell is out due to illness, which I know will affect a few people. I think he's 30% owned in the top 100, so he creeped up a bit in ownership there. But yeah, so those coaches with him, I wouldn't trade him. I think he's going to be very valuable in round 15, being that defender forward. So I'd be holding him if you can.
He plays back. Yeah, okay, all right. Yeah, all right.
Could be a play, but it'd be good if I don't know if Jep tunes in later on. But maybe if he tunes in, mate, you can ask him or something there. He might be able to let you know.
Flick him a tweet, mate.
So let's get into some questions anyway and fly through some of these. So Emily's got the first question. She said, thoughts on Elliot Yeo?
I don't mind it. It's risky. We know it's risky. But I don't mind it.
Yeah.
I reckon he's going to get heaps. I think he's going to get a lot of CBAs.
I think he will as well. It is very risky. Because he was in my starting plans and he got injured. I couldn't do it. But if you're keen, he's cheap, and because if you
depends on your rank as well.
If you've only got 18 this week, I probably wouldn't do it. But if you're comfortably fielding maybe 20, 21, and you want to bring Yo in, then I think that's where it could be a play, because then at least worst case scenario, something like happens, he gets injured, it won't count. That's probably where I'd probably go with that. But it is risky. We are the Eagles, man. So what do you think he can average if he's playing in that midfield role? Do you reckon he can go 90?
Oh, yeah, definitely. He could even push 100, right? But the problem, I mean, that's not the issue. The issue is for how long is his body going to hold up? And, while I would have liked to have thought that the Eagles would have spent their time and made sure that he was right before they brought him back, they're also pretty light on. So, I don't know whether they've kind of rushed him back. So it's a hard look. He's definitely got the scoring potential. I mean, what is he priced at, Bales? Do you have it off the top of your head?
No, I don't. I'll have a quick look.
I do here. So he's 560, 561.
It's cheap.
500 He's
If
cheap,
you go
so
even a Wilmot up to him, it's only about just over 100K.
round 14.
Round 4, if
round
you'd have to look at your
14.
buys, probably Emily for them, because I know that you've got your Dacos, your Dawsons. If you've got Sicily, you've got him on buy. Your Weddles, Seamus Mitchells, if you're holding him, like there's a few guys back there that have got that round 14 buy. So you just want to make sure.
So let's just think about this though, right? So I think the way that you want to be, let's think about how do you want to be playing this week, right? So I think firstly, we've got to be having that round 15 in mind, right? We know that a lot of us are tight on round 15. So you've got to be looking into the future a little bit. The other thing is that the simple fact is that every single player right now is going to have a bye in the next 3 weeks. So, it doesn't matter whether they have a bye next week or whether they have it the week after or anything like that. It doesn't fucking matter, right? There's no difference between any of them, including even people who might be, loaded up and have plenty of players this week and might even want to consider bringing in someone who is on their bye. That's even a possibility, right? But at the same time, I think you still want to be moving to improve your team. I mean, I'm very much treating this week like any other week. I'm trying to downgrade. I'm trying to upgrade. I'm trying to bring in a keeper for the rest of the season. I'm just being mindful of my buy structure. So, I've been aiming for those round 14 mids for the last couple of weeks. So, I think you want to be a little bit careful with going to these kind of mid prices. So I don't think, while I'm saying it's not a bad play, I don't think this kind of situation really suits everyone. It may be where you're back in the rankings. It may be where you've kind of messed up your buys a little bit. It may be where, I don't know, what would be the other scenario? I mean, what bullets would people have this week as well? Sicily, although, I think you'd want to be holding
Sicily. You've got maybe a few coaches. They've got Chera. Chera got off. Sorry, I know Doss will be happy with that. I kept thinking he didn't get off, but he did. Him and obviously Led both was successful.
You wouldn't want to sideways a Fiorini and Atkins or anything like that to Yo, really, would you?
Nah. If you're getting a Yo, I think that the move is probably going a rookie like a Wilmot, or even if you're looking at Philippa or something like that, out going up to Yo. You wouldn't want to be going.
And I think if you're stuck at that kind of price point, you probably would be looking more towards like a Hobbs or even a Humphrey.
Yeah. See, that's one player that I've heard a lot of people saying, "Oh, it's too late. It's too late." I don't think it's too late to bring in Humphrey. I think the round 13 bye. His role is just improving each week. He just signed a contract today, he just helps with buy structure, and he's going to make cash. He's going to be a green dot through the buys and be very helpful as a forward in round 15. So for me, I think Humphrey. This is the last week to get him, but if you don't have Humphrey, I think he's still a good get, even if he's not going to make 200-300K.
Look, I think he's not going to make. I mean, I guess this is kind of what people are thinking, right? He's currently priced at about mid-50, right? And if you look over his last 5, he's averaged about 60, mid-60s, right? And has he got any low stats in low games in that? Yeah, well, he's got a 0 in that still, right? So apart from that out.
I get rid of that. I think that was just an anomaly with the bad roll, whereas now he's playing. He had 62% CBAs last week, so clearly they've given him more and more time.
I don't think there's a huge, normally we would be looking at a mid-pricer, which he's priced in that kind of mid-pricer range now, even though he's a rookie, and you'd normally be wanting to look for about 20 points of upside. And I just don't know that there is 20 points of upside in there. And I think that's what people are, when they're saying it's too late, I think that's what they're referring to.
Yeah.
But at the same time, that's not why you bring him.
You bring him in to cover you in round 14 and 15 with the good buy. Yeah.
Yeah, you bring him. Yeah, you're bringing him in because you're strapped for cash. You're strapped for
and he's
players.
not he's not costing you next week as if missing a preem because he's a rookie. So for example, if you've got a Pedler on your bench anyway, he would just come on. Pedler would just come on for him that week anyway. So.
And you'd feel relatively safe. Like he's probably going to get, fair few CBAs. He's probably going to get, a decent role, good game time, all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, he kind of, he's it's a bit of a Band-Aid option through the buys, but you might make a little bit of cash and put some decent scores up. But they're a bit safer than your yo-yo move.
Connor's got next one here. So Ashcroft or Warple out? Who is he trading out first?
So hang on, what buyers?
So forward round 14. I think again that probably
Round
depends on
14.
buys for me. Depends where you. If you're heavy on round 14, you go Warple. If you've only got 18 this week, maybe you go Ashcroft out to hit Warple for the extra number. I'm probably leaning to Ashcroft, but I think it's very much dependent on buys. But then he's saying, does he go and bring in Merritt or Doherty? And I think, again, that's more buys. But if it doesn't matter for buys, are you going Doc or Merritt?
Hang on. What price is
so
Doc?
Doc's not over 900, so he's about 9. I think they're very, very similar in price.
They're about the same. Yeah. Oh man, it's all about the buys. I think.
If it doesn't matter for buys,
I think I'd like Doc over Merritt just because I think he would be a lot lower owned.
And a guaranteed top 3 defender.
Yeah, exactly. So I think, if you can get on him earlier than the rest of the crowd, whereas, Merritt, you kind of, joining the crowd a little
again,
bit
very much dependent on buys, but I think I'd go Ashcroft or Doherty, I think, for me. Corey's got this one. Wilmot to Ocean, or as Urban likes to say, Hoisin Sauce. I love that one. Sean Darcy to Darcy Cameron, and Fiorini to Merritt. I'm ticked.
Shit, hang on. Sorry. So go through that again.
Wilmot to...
Just say these a bit slower for me.
Wilmot to Mullen, tick for me. Darcy to Darcy Cameron, tick. And then Fiorini to Merritt, tick. I love all those trades.
Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah.
Harry, is Philippou to Hobbs a good trade?
Sure.
Yep. Again, if you're light on the round 14, which I'm a little bit lighter than I think others, but if you're light on round 14, go for it. And especially he's going to be, we're talking about these round 15 forwards. Hobbs has got the buy in round 14. He's going to be there round 15. So again, I like the Hobbs trade as he'll be there in that round. Rod, actually, where'd that go? Rod's got this one. Same trades as Bars, except using Rat Fink. I don't know. I'm assuming meant for like Rat Pasta and Philippou. And he's keeping Ashcroft. Yep, that's fine. Yep, like those. Easy Peasy says Degoe or Lockie Neal, and he's asking for rest of season. If you're going for rest of season, it's Neal. But if you're going for the buys, I actually prefer Degoe through the buys. I think he'll help you more with that, and you can bring in this week. He'll be a green dot for you, and he'll be a green dot around 15. So will Neil as well, but you save a little bit more cash. But rest of season, you're going, I think, Lockie Neal there. Jack says Warple, Fiorini, and Tim Kelly to Rory Laird, Zap Merritt, and Mullen. What are your thoughts about that? And he's got 100K in the bank.
That's fine. I think that's fine. I think that's a lot of. I mean, look, we don't know what the hell to expect from Mullins. He may play one more game and then we may not ever see him again. But that's just simply the case with all of our rookies. And depending on how your team's lining up, we've got to keep a view for how your team's going to look in round
16.
16. Yeah. And, if you've got, let's call it 6 or 5 red dots or, something along those lines in round 16, but you got, a team full of primos, then maybe it doesn't so much matter. And then, we've also got some players on the horizon. Like, it'll be interesting to see how Taron Thomas goes this week. We've been talking about Nat Fyfe over the last couple of weeks.
Nat Fyfe for me, he's not, I wouldn't say anything's locked because if I get injuries this week and then you just sort of divert your trades, but he's very, very much in my plans for next week, going like an Atkins down to Fyfe, make myself 100K, and then do some other maybe rookie shovels, bank cash for round 14, something like that anyway. But Fyfe is very much in my thoughts. This one here, so Dylan says, evening, gents, here are my trades. What are your thoughts on Ben Keys? So his trades, he's going Cowan up to Greenwood, Wilmot to Ocean Mullen, and Ashcroft to Ben Keys, banking 159K.
I don't like it.
If I was you, Dylan, there, I think you may just be able to get Degoe, potentially. I'd rather Degoe over Ben Keys, but if not, Ben Keys is a
plus
564. I don't see the Keys role being there every week. He could easily be.
Could you go to Cameron instead?
That's what I mean. I'd prefer Darcy Cameron if you can do that, or I'd even prefer, instead of Greenwood, getting Humphrey and Degoe. But I would actually prefer. Would you prefer over Greenwood and Keys? Would you prefer Humphrey and Cameron? I'd prefer Humphrey and Cameron, I think.
Sure. Yeah. I think I would.
I know that Greenwood's got the low break even, but so does Humphrey. So, and as well, they've got Northman have got midfielders coming back.
I think
I'm a bit nervous.
you just got yeah. Look, I think the issues with those trades, it's not that they're bad trades. It's just that I think you might get caught out long term.
Yeah.
So, Greenwood's had the role for the last few weeks, but there's been a lot of changes. You've got LDU coming back. You've got Simpkins starting to step up. There's a lot happening at North. So, for how long he might get one more game in that, in the centre there, and then who knows where he goes after that, right? And sorry, who was the other trade that we were talking about? Ben Keys once again. So, once again, I think we might see him in the CBAs again this week, but I think that's because he might be doing that tagging role again. But I don't know whether we'll see him in there the following week. So, good picks, but yeah, I think you might get caught out.
Ethan, trade Fiorini or Ashcroft. Buy doesn't matter. I think you'd probably prefer Ashcroft maybe longer term in terms of I think he's going to be scoring better over the buys. Fiorini's got an outside role. He's going to drop a fair bit of cash likely this week.
Where was he named? I mean, I know this doesn't mean much, but where was he named?
I think,
Halfback
which
flank.
obviously he'll be named on it. He'll play a wing. I'd prefer Ashcroft for the next 3 weeks, but I'd want both gone. Yeah. So I'd prefer to hold Ashcroft if you're saying buys don't matter. But
what are the break evens?
Ashcroft's is 92 and Fiorini's is 104. But you're not losing cash on Ashcroft this week. But then again, it's like, well, maybe if you don't have any, options to trade next week, you could go Ashcroft this week, and then you've got Fiorini to trade next week. But
now, look, I feel a hell of a lot better trading out Fiorini than I do Ashcroft. I just wanted to double check the stats to make sure I wasn't just being, a bit biased.
I agree. Rick says he's going Darcy Wilmot, Will Ashcroft, and Braden Fiorini to Mullins, Laird, and Darcy Cameron. Yep, love them. Tick those three. Anything with Laird, everyone knows I'll be happy with those trades anyway.
Just obviously make sure you've checked your buy structure. Yep. Checked your, around 14, around 15.
Yep. Getting too excited about Lairdy. So Robert has got this one here. So he's got one or two options, right? So he's doing Darcy to Briggs in both, and he's doing Wilmot to Mullen in both. So he's either, what would you do? Would you go a red dot in Lockie Cowan up to Hugh Greenwood, or would you go Will Ashcroft to Jordan Dawson? I think I know which way you'd be going to in this one.
I think that first one, you'd fix the red dot, wouldn't you?
I actually thought you were going to go Ashcroft to Dawson. But yes, Greenwood's he's got 279k in the bank getting Greenwood. So for me, I would spend that 280k more, and I would prefer to bring over Greenwood personally. He's got the better buy. You're probably likely to keep him longer term if you get stuck with him. Whereas, as you said before, you don't want to get stuck with some of these guys and get caught out with a Greenwood. Whereas if you can get De Goey, I'd rather De Goey, but I'd also prefer Darcy Cameron.
So what's the matchups this week?
West Coast for De Goey. And Greenwood's got Essendon, but Shields is back. LDU be back next week.
Yeah,
I'd prefer to go and get Darcy Cameron over Greenwood. So I'd prefer to go Cowan to Greenwood. I think that's a great trade.
Okay.
Because he's also bringing Briggs in. So, like, if Briggs fails, you can go Cameron in the ruck, and then you can go Briggs out if it failed. So I'd prefer that option.
So what do you think about but if he went to Darcy Cameron, would he need to go to Briggs?
Not necessarily, but I think he might be keen on bringing Briggs in. But essentially you're going Cowan to Briggs. That's essentially what you're doing. So, and I don't mind that move. So, I'd be going Cameron in that one. John says, with Seamus Mitchell out, do I reverse Ratkins out? Will likely need to take his score. Well, if you need his score, I think you've pretty much answered yourself there, John. I think if you need Atkins' score, then I would not trade him out and look at moving someone else. I wouldn't be moving Mitchell on, though. I think he's been very valuable through the buys, especially rare 15. So I'd be holding. Jason, hey legends, Ollie Lord, Matt Johnson, or Eddie Ford looking for a second rookie under 400k. So, well, for me, I think Johnson's the better rookie. Could you launch into him on his buy? O'Meara's suspended for a week, but obviously we don't know what's going on. Would you be happy to launch into him, or would you go Eddie Ford, who's just under 400k, which I think is a bit expensive, or Ollie Lord being a key forward?
Well, the key forward worries me. I must admit, what's his name? Ford? Is that his name? Eddie Ford?
For North
He's
Melbourne.
kind of slipped under the radar for me.
He's $398K. He's expensive.
Yeah,
But then again, but we're talking about this year.
agree.
We got to part for the rookies, but
yeah, I like Matty Johnson. I really like him as a pick.
Out of those, I prefer Johnson if you've got enough numbers this week.
Yeah, I know it's a bit tough to bring someone in on their bye, but I think he's the better choice.
Yeah. Luke has asked you this one, or he's tagged you in this, saying, when going to a 200K rookie, I'd probably suggest. That's literally what you said before. You're saying Luke suggested going Bailey McDonald, but I know Jep's tuning in. So Jep, mate, if you want to jump, if you want to jump on for a
tell us what the hell to do with our rookies.
If you want to jump on Jep, feel free. If you can't, then yeah, if you want to send us a tweet about
send smoke signals, send I don't know, use the LED on your phone and send us some I don't know Morse code. But tell us what the bloody hell we're meant to do with our rooks.
Mike Furr's got this one saying, I was thinking Chase Jones to Tom Stewart, Rory Atkins to Wardlaw, and Ashcroft to Laird. Yep, I like those. Tick those off. Again, we're saying this all assuming that your buy structures are all going good forward in the next few weeks. But yeah, like those trades, Mike. Smixy, thoughts on getting Bailey McDonald instead of Mullen so I can get Merritt instead of Petrarca? So would you go McDonald and Merritt or Mullen and Petrarca?
Oh, this is a really good question. So, well, I mean, basically what I am doing this week is I'm going Merritt and, the cheaper rook rather than, the kind of not the primo I want and the better rook. Once again, it's only 18 players this week. So, there's a few that drop off. So, if you can get to those Ubers, well, that's what I'm doing anyway. Who knows if it's going to be the right place.
Jep did just message and said that he's just finishing off a couple of things and he'll jump on shortly. So
Sweet.
That'll be a good question actually to ask Jep that one. So I'll come back to that one, Smixy, when Jep's on with us. James says, thoughts on going Chad Warner to Rory Laird, Ashcroft to Greenwood, and then Darcy to Briggs allows me to go Will Day to Sinclair, Fiorini to Sarong, and Jinby to someone 500K. I'd like 5 next week. So
what? There's too
Warner
many
to Laird, tick.
Warner to Laird. I mean, you're not going to complain with that.
Ashcroft to Greenwood. I'm a bit nervous with that one personally myself.
And
then he's going Darcy to Briggs. But if you're going Darcy to Briggs, but you're going Warner Laird, you're going to have money to go Ashcroft across. Again, I'd prefer to go Ashcroft to Darcy Cameron. But if you can't get a ruckman in, I'd prefer DeGoey over Greenwood. So that's what I'll do. But again, he said that it affects his trades maybe next week. But then again, I'm not sure about going Will Day to Jack Sinclair anyway.
But we've got a lot. The way I'm seeing it is we've got a lot of flexibility next week. Well, I know I do. I mean, currently I've got 22 playing next week. So, I've got the ability to not so much worry about my green dots next week. Is I've got the ability to really make some moves to set my team up for the remainder of the buys. Yeah. So I'm not like I know that a lot of I've heard a few podcasts talk about cashing up this week, and I kind of did talk about what I was doing earlier. I think if you can go to the top and get the kind of Ubers that you want, I don't think hold cash for next week. I think treat this week a little bit just like any other week,
I'm agreeing.
Everyone
on the other way around.
Is going to have
on the other way around.
Yeah.
I'm actually trying to get points on field this week and then cash up next week. Because next week you're going to have all your prems anyway. Like I'll be missing Tom Stewart, and he's the only prem I've got. I got Humphrey, Atkins, and obviously Fiorini's gone for me. Atkins will be gone next week. So
that's when you can really do your fix-ups.
Yeah.
That's when you can kind of cash up.
Because
the
other thing as well is, so we had the mid-season draft this week. There might be one or two that pop their head up next week after having maybe like 9 to 10 days in the club potentially. So we might have those guys. We might have a McAndrew coming off his bye, might hold his spot. Matt Johnson for Freo will likely hold his spot at this stage if all goes well. So we're going to have a few options next week. I'd prefer to cash up next week. But then again, I think Mini Monk said it perfectly last night on the coaches panel and whatever he's saying, that it is team dependent. If you need cash to get the rookie this week, then you can cash up this week and get that prem that you want or whatever. So it's team dependent, but yeah. James did say, though, those 3 trades do work for his buys like a heap. So if they do work for your buys, James, then go ahead, pull the trigger. We don't mind it. But if you can get Darcy Cameron over in Greenwood and make that work, then I'd prefer that. Because I think he's a good safety blanket if you're getting Briggs in. What's he got? So SF21 says, best player to get in the whole game can get anyone. Well, again, it's very buy dependent. But for me, I agree. And I'm not saying that being biased. I did say
it could be Andrew Brayshaw.
Even though he's on, I'd still prefer to bring in Laird this week, get the number this week, because people are light on for midfielders in round 14. And I did say on my Wednesday trade talk video that Roy Laird was my number 1 target to bring in this week if you're looking for someone to bring in.
Well, that's exactly. I mean, look, I was basically aiming to target pretty much whoever I could target this week, and Rory Laird's who I'm bringing in.
And I think if you got Darcy, then Tim English is also a very, very good option if you have got the Darcy issue. Sim says Atkins, Ashcroft, and Harry Sharp to Greenwood as a 3-week play, Yo as a 2-week play, and Wardlaw. For me, it's too risky for me. Bringing both Greenwood and Yo in, I'd prefer to go, again, if you can go Darcy Cameron over Greenwood or Yo, because if you're going Ashcroft down, Sharp to Wardlaw is not going to cost you much at all. So if you can go Darcy Cameron, Wardlaw, who would you prefer out of Greenwood or Yo if he can choose either or? Would you prefer Greenwood or would you prefer Yo? He said it gives him 250k to roll over, so I'd prefer to go Darcy Cameron over one of those two. But who would you be picking if you can choose?
That's a tough one.
Because he says
I think the safer play is Greenwood, but I'm tempted. I'm a little bit. Look, once again, I think it might depend on where you're at.
Yeah. If you're outside a little bit more, then maybe Yo. But if you're closer, maybe Greenwood's a smarter, safer play. So
have a throw at the
He's got 21. He's got 21 this week, so you could go Yo because you got 3 guys that are going to be out, and he could put up a good score. So it's a tough one. Yeah. So, but we got the man, the rookie man, Jep, mate. How are you looking ahead of the first week of the buys, mate?
I was looking all right until Seamus Mitchell decided to have a week off. I'm a bit got to scramble now. I've just opened up my team and got an hour and 6 minutes to have a look.
Yep. Have you got an idea of what way you're going, or have you just not looked at it since Mitchell's been out and you've got to try and reevaluate?
I think I'll.
So how many green dots you got this week?
Yeah, I'm fine in that aspect. It's I can field 20, 21, depending on how I go. It's just whether I keep Mitchell or not, because he's got a pretty low break even. So they said illness, didn't they?
Yeah. I was saying,
I think it's just
I was saying to Tim before, looking at round 15 and all those forwards being out, I'm very strongly in the camp of holding Mitchell if you can, just because he's going to help out with that round 15 buy. But I guess it depends on if you can afford to hold him or not. Do you know what the other two trades are, Jep?
So I think I'm going to bring in Matt Johnson from Freo now. I'm just worried about Mullen. I'm worried about Harrison. But
what about
with O'Meara out, I think Johnson might have a little window here.
Yeah.
And it's a risk, but I'm looking at it currently. Yeah.
What about Bailey McDonald from the Hawks, who is
he's third in line of that half back line. So I think he's going to be one and done.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. And this is the risk, right? What if he plays well and Seamus can't get back in? So he's sort of got to weigh that up because he's got a bit of cash on his head. So, it's no, Bailey McDonald I wouldn't touch. I think, this is just an opportunity given
Mitchell's out.
To Mitchell. So, I'm not going to go there. I definitely wouldn't go there. I'm like, Harvey Harrison would be the one that I have in line, because there were times last year where he was close to a debut and it just didn't happen. So they obviously rate him. Look, his scores aren't going to be amazing, but it's a heartbeat, right?
Yeah.
And I think there is a better chance that he'll be there in round 15 than a couple of other options. So, yeah.
Harvey Harrison, welcome to the gerbils.
Yeah,
Mate.
so that's where I'm sort of leaning. You know, and again, it's hard to gauge time on ground with these guys because they get their time managed. They get pulled as they're an emergency.
Subbed.
Yeah, but a couple of weeks ago, he did kick 3 goals and have 20 possessions for 91 fantasy. You got me?
Oh, yeah. No, it dropped out for a couple of seconds. Yep.
Yeah, so, yeah, mate, and there's 11 tackles in there from a few weeks back. So, like I said, I think they rate him. I don't think he's going to be an amazing scorer, but if you're desperate, then he's there too, and that's why I'm kind of looking at Matthew Johnson, in all of this. Judson Clark's another one that's new coach. I know he was subbed last week and all that, but I'm just pulling up his numbers now. Bear with me. So yeah, he's played a lot of games, obviously vested a lot of games as well, but he can be in and around the mark. So
what's his
no
price?
best for him this week. He's 283, but he's got a break even of 59.
Okay,
The
yep.
problem is round 15 bye again, and I'm really heavy like most round 15. But he's break even at 59. He might be just one you want to watch and see what happens.
You can downgrade next week if
and
he
after
puts
the
up a good one.
Giants, they got Freo and St Kilda. So yeah, he's another one that, you know, I wouldn't be holding you back to get, because he can score. Well, when I say score, he can get there. So he had a 90 in round 4 against the Bulldogs, and then he's been red vested, green vested, and all that sort of fun stuff. But I just look at the opportunity of the new coach, and he's a tireless worker, right? So he's a gut runner, plays the Richmond way.
Yep, and if Pickett's playing that like tagging role, then that opens up that wing role for Clark to play in.
Yep, that's right. So, yeah, he's played all the 2 games this year, but by the look of this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games have been best affected. So, yeah, it's a bit of a stretch, but this is what, you know, desperate times, desperate measures. So he's probably one I'd wait for next week or this week.
Do you think the new coach at Richmond is going to start playing more youth and kind of?
No, I was hearing.
I mean, I wouldn't say a rebuild, but you know, like
Reebok's on 360. Their mindset is they can still play finals. So until that's dead in the water, and being around football clubs myself over the years, that discussion, although it's far fetched, it's still possible, and that's always the discussion. So. Until that's dead in the water, then sure. But until then, they're just trying to improve as a team. And there might be a bit of politics in here and there with getting games into youth, for sure.
Well, the rookie that we didn't speak of, Jeps, I know that Tim can't quite get to Mullen. But what are your thoughts? Are you keen to jump on him this week early, or are you in the camp of waiting till after his bye to see if he's in the side?
I'm going to wait till after the bye for 2 reasons. One, Chris Scott, I just don't trust him. And 2, if he doesn't play after the bye, I'm literally cooked because of all my round 14 defenders.
Yeah.
So I can't afford that risk in my team. If you can cover it in round 14, assuming that's the heaviest weekend or round for defenders, then sure, go knock yourself out. But he didn't nail a lot of his kicks. I think he nailed 1 out of 8 of his kicks. Bad kicking's bad football. God, I do sound like my old footy coach. And he did not nail his kicks whatsoever. So I'm not going to go there. I had a few trade scenarios with him, but no, thank you.
Yeah, I'm very much the same opinion. I'd wait till round 14 to bring him in, because at least then you've got a downgrade option in round 14 guaranteed if he's in the side anyway. So But Smixy did ask a question before, Jet, and I want to get your thoughts on. So he said that he can go Bailey McDonald and get Zach Merritt, or would you prefer to bring in Mullen and get Petrarca instead? So is it Mullen, Petrarca, or is it McDonald and Merritt?
Or another 200K.
It could be
assume,
Harrison
right?
or anything.
Mullen
but
and Merritt.
Yeah.
You know, if you think about it, Mullen's got a mature body. You know, physically he can play AFL football. That's not a problem. It's skills and obviously he's quick and all that sort of fun stuff. So, yeah, both rookie options are terrible, but Mullen and Merritt.
It's if he gets Mullen, it has to be Petrarca instead of Merritt.
Sorry, Mullen and Petrarca's fine. Yeah.
Because you're Petrarca.
I still think he's a top 10 mid. He's not necessarily top 8, but I still think he's thereabouts.
Yeah. Well, we'll go to...
Bales, before you move on, mate, let's just ask Chip what he's doing with his captains.
Oh, yes, of course, yeah.
So I'm going to go Butters as VC as a bit of a...
Ooh.
Different one. High ceiling, all that sort of fun stuff. And then I'm going Merritt as captain into Merritt.
Yep. No, I like it. Beautiful. So we've got... where's the ones? A few questions flying through. Appreciate everyone seeing through questions. We'll keep going for about 10 minutes or so. Tim, is that about right? Then you head off to Varsity?
Yeah, I'm probably going to do a bit less than that, mate. About 7 minutes and then I'm
perfect.
done.
Well, if anyone's in Perth and wants to head down to Varsity and see Tim and the crew, then make sure you do. I can't believe as well the Traders Perth live show sold out pretty much in like a day. And it's all sold out by midnight last night. So I'm glad it's
a big event over here in Perth.
I'm not surprised after last year and the year before.
That was mental.
It's a good fun night. Last year, like the Aberdeen people that will laugh from Perth. Aberdeen hasn't pumped that hard.
It was packed.
For 20 years.
It was packed.
Like literally 20 years. So yeah, it was chockers. Everyone was pretty merry. They don't. I think part of the reason, Tim, they didn't serve food at the Aberdeen, remember? So everyone was just juiced up to the max.
Oh, mate, by the end of it, people were pretty loose. It was good, bloody good fun. And look, the other thing is that the Camfield is a far better venue than the Aberdeen. So, it's probably a lot bigger. It's a lot nicer. They will have food. They'll have, it's a great venue, as I'm sure everyone in Perth knows anyway. But yeah, that's going to be one hell of a night. I'm spewing, actually. I've got a big work function that night, so I can't actually make it. But I'm sure there'll be a Thursday night or a Saturday night.
I think they're doing a Thursday night, potentially one as well. So Tim, mate, you could go to that one. But I've got my ticket for the Friday one, so I'm looking forward to flying over.
Bars is coming to Perth.
I'm looking forward to it. So the Fantasy Fanatics meeting up and get to see you, Jep, and everyone else around the Perth crew. So, I keep hearing that the roof blows off in the Perth show. So looking forward to it. Mike Furr's got this one, says, I was thinking Chase Jones to Tom Stewart, Rory Atkins to Wardlaw, and Ashcroft to Laird. We ticking those off, Jep?
Sorry, I missed that. Ashcroft, Laird. Yes. What was the other two?
Atkins to Wardlaw.
Yes.
And then Chase Jones to Stewart.
Yeah, absolutely. Good trades.
Yeah. Love those. Jacko says he's got 18 this week with Mitchell out. Got 280K in the bank. Who does he trade Philippou for, considering he's struggling for round 14 and not too keen on Greenwood? Tim?
Well, probably Darcy Cameron, someone we've been talking a lot about that might be in that price range. So he said 230K, and then who is he trading out?
280K trading Philippou. So you better get Darcy Cameron. Yeah.
What's the poo? How much?
If he's like 420, 460.
So what are we talking? 546, 40. Oh, could he get to Darcy Cameron? It might be short.
Oh, no, 280K, you'd have near 700 and something. So you'd be able to get Cameron easily. Yeah.
Okay. All right. That would be. Yeah,
I'd get Cameron.
I'm trading in Darcy Cameron this week for what it's worth.
Yeah. I think all three of us, I think it's a great option. That is why he's the thumbnail of the YouTube video, because I think it's a great option.
Although It's going up against the twin towers of Callum Jamison and bloody what's that other
Bailey Williams.
Don't even
Bailey Williams.
Yeah, Bailey Williams.
Now, is it
Jesus, what a
just
tough
me, or
matchup.
every time Bailey Williams gets the ball, he just kicks it long? I swear I've never seen him handball or kick it short to hit up someone. I swear I've always seen him kick it long.
Yeah, let's not get into it, all right, mate. Let's move on.
SF was the one that said before about the getting any part in the game, but he said, would you go Hollands, Ashcroft, and Lockie Cowan to Humphrey, Mullen, and then any primo?
Humphrey, Mullen.
Sure, I think so.
Yeah, I mean, noting the risk of Mullen, sure. Absolutely. Yeah. That's great.
So he said he's got...
And your buy structure, of
He's
course,
got Rory Laird. So he said, who would you be bringing in? Would it be a Merritt? Would it be maybe if he's got enough, would you bring Andrew Brayshaw on his buy? Would you go Matt Rowell because he's got the round 13 buy? Anyone keen on someone else? Doherty as a primo defender pod?
He said he's got Laird. Laird's my number one.
Same with me.
Yeah, I think Merritt's two. Doherty is almost a point of difference at this point of the season because I haven't seen or heard many people.
Just that round
15.
Round 15. That's all.
Yeah. So yeah,
I like all of them.
Yeah.
I'm a bit uncertain about the Rowell. I'm just a bit uncertain about that. But I think this is the time of year where if you can get to someone like a Merritt, you just fucking go to them.
Yeah, agreed. Do a last couple here. John says, thoughts on Hollands to Mullen, Darcy to English, and Philippou to Hobbs or Humphrey. So I like all those trades. Who would we be going out of Hobbs and Humphrey? We'd be getting around 13 buy player in Humphrey, save a little bit of cash, or are you going Hobbs?
No, you're going Hobbs for North Melbourne and Carlton draw.
Yeah, I think I agree as well. If you're good for that round 14 buy as well, I'd agree.
And while it's easy for us to forget, let's also not forget that, 5-6 rounds ago, he had a 0.
And he was on 63 until that late goal as well.
Yeah. I love Humphrey. I'm very, very happy I got him on my side. Clay Smith said, thoughts on Darcy to Darcy Cameron, Hunter Clark to Jordan Dawson, and Ashcroft to Mullen. He has got 21 on field and he banks 300K. Well, Clay, for me, if you can get if you can go instead of Mullen, get someone else in that 600K range. Like I'd even rather take a chance on Yo instead of Mullen.
Greenwood.
There's no point having
Greenwood.
cash, I don't think, on the bank.
Yep.
Yeah, instead of Mullen, I would go Levi Greenwood.
Yeah, Hugh Greenwood.
Hugh Greenwood or Levi?
From Greenwood.
Yeah, agreed.
I said that a lot this week.
You don't need the cash in the bank. You're better off having a better player on your field.
I'll probably wrap up on this one. So, Jet, we were talking before. Are you agreeing that? So, a few people said that they'd rather cash up this week and then go to next week and get upgrades. Me and Tim were saying before we'd rather probably spend up this week and cash up next week with the fact that everyone's going to have essentially a full team of primos. Are you of that same sentiment, or would you be cashing up this week?
Yeah, mate, I heard you say that earlier. That's a great theory. For sure. I in preparation for next week, though, I am getting Brayshaw. So for me personally, my plan is to leave about 100 grand in the bank and then get Andy Brayshaw next week. I don't think if I don't have that 100 grand in the bank now and there's no available next week, then it's going to be pretty hard to get up to one of the most expensive players. So
yeah.
And really, he's who you want next week. Like, if you look at the options, he's the standout candidate that you want next week. Like, I'm not really sure that I want anyone else.
I'm a bit keen on Sinclair if I can't get quite up to that 970 odd at Sinclair at about 830. I'm keen enough on him. He does have Sydney though, so does he cop a tag there? But
I'm not keen on him.
Well, there you go. All right, well, we'll wrap it up there, Tim. I know you've got to head off to varsity, so final thoughts, Tim, mate, before we let the listeners go.
Thanks for jumping in. Well, just thanks for jumping on, Jep. Appreciate the advice, mate.
All good.
Well, Jep, any final thoughts for listeners before we let them go?
Yeah, have your trades planned out for next week as well as this week. So next week, if the world aligns, I've got my trades planned out for who I'm getting and how I'm doing it.
Yep, sweet. And follow Jep at JeopardyT on Twitter and follow the +6 pod wherever you get your podcasts. And
go and get, for those that haven't done it yet, also go and get the code from Hat Chat for Lord of the Buys.
Lord of the Buys. Yep, 100%. What I'll do, I'll see if I can quickly find that before we let everyone go, so we can.
Well, I'm going to jump off, mate.
Yep, sweet.
And just a quick shout out to everyone that sent in questions as well. Thanks for jumping on, guys. We appreciate you listening, and thanks for all the questions you sent through.
Yep, beautiful. Thanks, Tim, and we'll chat Sunday night.
Mate, see you later, guys.
Beautiful. So the chat, the code for the league is EDDWLDHY. So make sure you guys go and jump on Lord of the Buys. So thanks, Jet, for jumping on. Appreciate you jumping on as always. And if anyone wants any other questions answered, I'll be live on YouTube pretty much